Secretary Gates obviously was heavily involved in the latest nuclear posture review as the current Secretary of Defense. The briefing that was held to unveil it today was held at the Pentagon. I would certainly say, as it relates to a country, there's two things as part of the nuclear posture review that I think are important to keep in mind. If a country, if we see that a country greatly expands its biological or chemical weapons capability, the posture review calls for the ability to reevaluate any assurances that have been given. And secondly, I think it goes without saying that our country possesses a massive conventional arsenal that we believe has an important deterrent effect on anybody that might make the poor decision to attack our country.
But that was your Secretary of Defense saying that the nuclear threat helped deter Iraq in the first Gulf War.
Well, again, I would say that the Secretary of Defense was obviously heavily involved in the formulation of the current posture review. Extensive meetings with the President on this subject, and something that, like I said, was rolled out in his building today. Yes, sir.
Robert, at any time while this policy was being developed, did the President step in and object to something because it would make America less safe?
Well, look, I'm not going to get into there were dozens and dozens of meetings, not all of which involved the President, but involved principals and deputies from any department in government that had an equity in this review. So then the President gets up each day with the safety and security of the American people foremost on his mind. So you can be assured that whether it's in a meeting about the latest nuclear posture review or the President's daily intelligence briefing, or quite frankly walking from the residence to the Oval Office, the safety and security of the American people are on his mind.
Was there a push or pull at any time during that process where he was saying, you know, what you are proposing here, I don't think it would make America safe?
Well, Dan, I think you can be assured that the document that we've come up with is done so in a way that the President believes can best keep this country safe.
But he actually stepped in. That's what I'm trying to find out. Did he ever step in at any point in the process?
This is his document. Yes, sir.
I do have another question on healthcare, the selling of the healthcare law, and I'm wondering how you feel it's getting through to the American people. Do you feel it has been effective in knocking down what the President has said have been myths?
This is not a 10-day program. This is healthcare's. The law will be implemented over the course of many years. So I do not doubt that in the intervening many days, you all will poll every other day to find out whether Joe in Peoria has changed his mind. This is a longer-term effort to reform our healthcare system in a way that was, in the President's mind, desperately needed. Our implementation and our efforts to ensure that what is laid out in the law is that those promises are kept by insurance companies and others will be the focus of this administration and has been since the moment the President signed that bill. The first meeting the President had with the team at the conclusion of healthcare reform was to discuss its, the next morning was to discuss its implementation.
And one more thing on the Karzai invitation, anything change on that on the May 12th invitation?
No, I would say that that meeting is still on the schedule as of now.
So in your answer to Jake about the President speaking to each of the country's leaders or representatives directly about, what are you talking about? What agenda items are on the President's mind for these meetings, these bilaterals he's going to have?
Look, each of these, some of them obviously deal with directly with our proliferation efforts. Some of them will also deal with the fact that some of these countries we've not had a chance to sit down with. Some of them, there are issues that may lie slightly outside of something like proliferation. Armenia comes to mind with the normalization of relations. So I think there are a whole host of things. Obviously, the focus is on nuclear security.
By proliferation, would you mean what these countries are doing or not doing?
What these countries, we hope, can and will do to ensure that vulnerable material, they make every effort to lock down the type of vulnerable material that the president sees as such a danger.
Will the president on this trip express support for goals which go beyond the goals of the START treaty he's about to sign for further reduction in nuclear capability?
Well, we are returning, Bill, to the city that the president laid out a vision shared by the four men that are coming for the documentary tonight, to see a world without nuclear weapons. The president, I think, rightly said that that's not likely a goal that he will live to see. But that's the trajectory and the path that he believes that we can and should be on. I don't doubt that he will express that while this is an important step, it should be the first step in our efforts to reduce the risk between two countries like the United States and Russia.
What's his argument to Republican senators who have to ratify this if it's to become United States law?
Well, I think he would certainly demonstrate that this is far and away in our best interest to reduce the threat that so many of these weapons has. I would point out, Bill, that this is, Secretary Clinton brought this up when we did our briefing in here a few Fridays ago, that and I can get the statistics at the end of this, I think they're on my desk, that on the last three big treaties, arms control treaties, the votes were in the mid-90s for all three of those treaties. This has always been, and the president believes always should be, a bipartisan issue. The president came to this issue through a friendship with Senator Lugar of Indiana. Obviously, Nunn, Perry, Schultz, Kissinger, two each from each party. I think the president hopes that Democrats and Republicans can work together to reduce the threat of nuclear weapons and ratify this treaty this year with the type of majorities that we've seen done so in the past. Samantha.
On Karzai, are you considering canceling this May 12th meeting?
We certainly would evaluate whatever continued or further remarks President Karzai makes as to whether that's constructive to have such a meeting. Sure.
3 strikes, you're out?
I've not seen the form that one fills out to cancel the meeting.
What are the consequences for those remarks? He's been pretty defiant. He kind of doubled down on those remarks after a call from Secretary Clinton.
Yeah, I can't speak to why he said those things.
I was asking about the consequences
right.
from your...
Well,
yeah.
but let me, I mean, they're troubling, they're confusing, they've been investigated and they've been found to be untruthful. So whether there's some domestic political benefit that he's trying to gain, I can't say. We are in Afghanistan, and our young men and women are in Afghanistan because of the threat that al-Qaeda and its extremist allies pose, and posed on September 11th when attacks planned in that area came to New York and just outside of Washington, D.C. So we are there for the safety and security of our country, and we understand, and we think that President Karzai needs to understand that the safety and security of his country is not going to be gained simply by rooting out or moving extremist threats in certain areas that isn't ultimately then filled with good governance. The president has been clear with President Karzai going back to last fall